Mr. Johnson, sir, you're charged with the first-degree felony of murder. Ms. Candaday, what can you please tell us about Mr. Mr. Johnson's charge?
On or about April 26, 2019, officers responded to a homicide scene in Harris County where a male was shot to death. Officers were informed that other officers were dispatched to an in-progress call where a male was shot at the location. Officers learned that the individual, later identified as the complainant, had been found deceased in the back seat of a motor vehicle in a parking lot located at 1960 and TC Jester with 2 gunshot wounds. Officers learned that the vehicle the complainant was found in belonged to an Uber driver who was on the scene, who stated to officers that he was employed by Uber, was dispatched to a specific location to pick up a passenger. The Uber driver stated to officers that he pulled up to the residence. 2 black males exited the residence. The Uber driver stated that one of the black males entered the rear passenger side of the vehicle. The other entered a vehicle parked in the driveway of the residence. The Uber driver then stated to officers that he pulled into the driveway across the street to turn his vehicle around. The Uber driver stated that after he turned around, the black male that had entered the vehicle parked in the driveway of that residence where he picked up the other black male started walking towards his vehicle. The Uber driver stated that he slowed down to see what the black male needed when the black male pulled out a gun, began to shoot through the rear passenger window at the complainant in the back seat. The Uber driver stated that the black male started shooting. He sped away. The Uber driver stated that he drove northbound on TC Jester while calling 911 until he got to 1960, where he pulled over into a parking lot until officers arrived. Officers spoke with a witness who stated that the complainant had called him saying he was going to come over to watch a movie and was bringing a friend named Neil with him. The witness stated a little while later the complainant and a guy introduced as Neil, a black male, arrived at his residence. The witness told officers that all 3 of them went upstairs, were in his room watching a movie, when Neil stated he had to leave to take care of some work business. The witness also stated a little later the complainant told him he had to leave to go take care of his child and called Uber to pick him up. The witness also told officers he heard the doorbell ring. When he opened the door, it was the guy, Neil, who had been at his residence earlier. The witness further stated while at the door, the Uber had pulled up in front of his residence and Neil and the complainant walked outside. The witness stated that he closed the door, heard gunshots and tires squealing away while walking up the stairs. Officers spoke with the complainant's father, who stated that his son has a friend named Nilo Johnson, who is a black male. Officers researched Nilo Johnson in various investigative databases, located him. Officers were able to obtain a booking photo of Nilo Johnson. Officers showed the complainant's father the booking photo, and the father did identify that as the complainant's friend, Nilo. Officers then conducted a photo array lineup with the witness, who the complainant and later identified as the defendant showed up to his house. The witness looked at the photo lineup and was able to identify this defendant as the person who the complainant introduced as Neil. Officers also did a photo array with the Uber driver. The Uber driver was also able to identify this defendant as the person who pulled out a gun and shot into the back of his Uber, striking the complainant.
All right. Mr. Johnson, I'm going to find there is sufficient probable cause for the case to go forward. Ms. Candaday, what is the state's request on bond for Mr. Johnson?
Your Honor, the state filed a motion requesting a $100,000 bond as the defendant is charged with murder after shooting to death a passenger in an Uber ride service car. The defendant's willingness.
Sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. The defendant's willingness to kill demonstrates that he is a grave danger to the community.
All right, any further?
That's it, Your Honor.
Mr. Evans?
Judge, for Mr. Johnson, we're requesting $30,000 personal bond. Mr. Johnson, as it shows on the new criminal activity scale, rates as a 2, which is below average. On the failure to appear scale, though, it rates as 3. He has no failures to appear ever. He has no violent convictions nor felony convictions previously and no pending charges at the time. Only misdemeanor history. Mr. Johnson is 25 years old and a lifetime Houston resident. He's lived at the same apartment since June of 2018. And he's been employed by Papa John's since 2017, earning $8 per hour. That is his only income. He is a high school graduate, and he does help his mom, who's a diabetic and elderly and has mobility issues, getting to and from her places, and assists her with getting her medication. He does have transportation to and from court. Further, his whole family lives here. He helps volunteer every summer with the Greens Point Crossing swim team since 2015. And he also assists his aunt with her catering business.
All right. Mr. Johnson, I'm going to set your bond in this case to $200,000. Are you a U.S. citizen? All right. Please step over to see Deputy Mills. She'll tell you what to do next.